Hello, everybody. This is Dude with the Food here. I hope you all are doing very well. So, we all have vices when it comes to food. I think that's no secret. I mean, we all have those foods that, it kind of serves as a little quick craving that we have just to get a little satisfactory out of it. And one of mine happens to be peanut butter. I love peanut butter. One of my favorite things in the world is getting a spoonful of that, getting that sweet, nutty richness, and then think about all those preservatives and the rat turds that could be floating inside of it. Oh my gosh, I am horrifying myself with this stuff. However, not to worry, because today I'm going to be showing you how to make your own peanut butter where you know exactly what is inside of it, and it's going to be delicious, it's going to be quick, it's going to be simple, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So peanut butter only requires a few simple ingredients. You're of course going to need some unsalted peanuts, preferably unsalted peanuts, because you want to be in control of your salt levels right there. So we got some nice little roasted unsalted peanuts right there. And then of course to sweeten mine up, I'd like to add just about 3 tablespoons of honey to this. Just a little bit of honey, because I'm going to be explaining again later why you're only going to be using just a little bit of honey to start with. I just like to use honey because honey is awesome. So are honeybees. And of course, I'm going to be adding a little bit of Celtic gray sea salt. You could use kosher salt or whatever salt you want. I'm just using this because I have it available and I just felt like getting some crunch inside of there. And then to smooth it all out, we're going to be just using just a little bit of peanut oil. You want to use peanut oil for this because, well, it has peanuts in it. But it's also going to help give you a smoother peanut butter, and I'll explain that all later. So let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is you want to roast your peanuts. I know these are already roasted, but you're going to roast them again at 350 degrees. And you're just going to place it in the oven right there on a nice parchment-lined baking sheet, just like so. And you're going to let those roast for about 15 minutes. Now, the reason that you are going to roast these again, I will explain this all for you really quickly. The reason you do it is because when you roast it off, get it all nice and hot, you're releasing all of those natural oils that are inside the peanuts already. And that's what's going to help you give you a nice, smoother peanut butter without adding too much oil to this. So that's the reason why we roast them just like that. Oh, why did I make that face? Gross. So this has been about 15 minutes, and you're not going to see too much of a difference in these, but you're going to smell this nice roasted aroma from the nuts, and you can kind of feel for them, so to speak. You can see some of those oils are coming outside of the nuts too, and that's what's going to help you again give you a nice smooth blend when we're blending all these all up, which is going to be the next step. We're going to place these all in a food processor. You could use a blender if you want to as well. I just got this food processor right here. So you're going to take your nuts, so you're going to grab it off of that parchment paper, and you're going to slip those all inside of your food processor like so. Just like that. Easy to do. And then, as soon as that's on, you're just going to pop your lid on, and then you're going to put it on, and you're going to turn it on to a nice high blast, and let this go. This is not going to happen instantly, though. You got to remember, when you're making peanut butter, it probably takes about 5 to 10 minutes for it to properly blend properly. So it's not going to be something that's going to happen in an instant. This is something that's going to take just a little bit of patience to do so. But again, the beauty behind making your own peanut butter, too, is that, again, you are just in total control of this. It's just nuts, honey, salt, and just a little bit of peanut oil without any of those crazy preservatives you see on packages and everything. Will have the stuff you can't even pronounce what it is. But again, the idea behind this again is that it does take just a little bit of time, but the payoff is worth it. So this has been, after a while, about 3 minutes or so. You can already start to see it starting to clump together like that. That's a good sign too. Nothing's broken, nothing's going wrong at this point. It is going to resemble a fine dust. You just got to let this go just for a little bit longer. Just a little bit, because it is going to start to get smooth a little bit. So when it starts clumping up like that, don't worry about that. The oils are just trying to figure out what to do with this next process, so to speak. So you just got to be patient with this. And if you do need to move it around with a spatula, you can go ahead and do that. But again, just let your machine run. It's going to keep going. It's going to keep going. It's going to keep going. And then you're going to get a smooth peanut butter to start with. So at this point, the name of the game is patience. All right, so this has been after about 5 minutes. It's starting to get smoothed out again. You can already start to see it's starting to form just a little bit of a liquidy texture, but it's not quite at the point where we want it yet. So you just want to keep your machine running, keep it running, keep it running. But in the meantime, while this is running, maybe you can go do something like, I don't know, take a 5-minute nap. Actually, don't do that. You do need to keep an eye on this. So, okay, so right here, it's starting to clump up again. Again, just be patient. Patience is the name of the game. in case I didn't stress that out enough. But again, the problem that some people have when they're making their own nut butters is that they think, oh no, I broke this, oh no, I did something wrong. No, you didn't. You just got to be patient. Let the nuts do their thing. Let them do their thing. They will do the work for you. You are going to be fine. So then after about 7 minutes here, you can already start to see it's starting to get smoother again. It's still kind of clumping up just a little bit. But again, you can already start to see it's kind of formed from this hard nut into a liquid. Isn't science fun? But you just got to let it go. Let the machine keep going. Let it go. Let it go. Was I just singing Let It Go from Frozen? I probably was. Is anybody still singing that nowadays? If you are, go for it. It's your life. Okay, so look at it right there. You can already start to see it's starting to get nice and liquidy at this point. We're not quite at the point where we want it yet, though. But again, you can already start to see after a while, it's starting to get nice and smooth. Smooth like peanut butter. I mean, that's what we're going for. But again, you get the idea, though. After about 7 minutes, you can already start to see those oils are now starting to develop, and now they're starting to get ready to go now. Look at that. Isn't science fun when this all happens, too? When you're taking a solid, you're turning it into a liquid, so to speak. Ugh, it's exciting. So this, again, has been about 7 minutes, so to speak. You just got to be patient with this at this point. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the lid off. I'm going to show you where the consistency and the texture is at. You already got to see some of the dry nuts still on there, but no, that's not a big deal. It's all going to get blended up anyway. But again, you can already start to see again. It's starting to turn into a buttery texture, which is what we were hoping for. So I'm just going to pop the lid back on again and just let it rip again. No, I am not referring to the fart. But after about, now this has been about 10 minutes, you're starting to see now, it's starting to get smoother, it's starting to get creamier, which is how I personally like it. If you don't want it that way, just blend half of your nuts and just blend some of them later. That's just how I personally like it. So at this point here, it's getting to that point where we want it to be at. So at this point, I'm actually going to turn the machine off, and I'm going to just give it one last stir really quickly, just to show you guys. This is exactly what we're looking for. You can already start to see it's starting to get stuck to the spatula. You can see it's starting to get smooth and creamy, and that at this point, we haven't added any oil to it yet. But that's because, again, we just used those natural oils that were inside the peanuts, and that's what's just going to help it give you this nice, creamy, smooth texture. But we are going to be adding oil later, but I'll explain that all as soon as we add the other ingredients. So again, just one last blitz, just to make sure that everything is smoothed out. Again, like smooth peanut butter. Ba-dum-pee. And just let it go. Let it go. I may be spinning my head as I'm watching this and recording this. No, I am not ashamed of it. I do live with dogs. They do the same thing. So if they can do it, so can I. No judgments, though. Dogs are awesome. Plus, dogs love peanut butter. Only in doses. Make sure your dogs are safe. So again, just letting it go, letting it go, letting it go. Just look at that. All right, so now we're almost to the point too where we're going to be adding the rest of the stuff. So I'm going to turn it off now. I'm going to take the lid off. And now at this point is when I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the honey and the salt to it. So again, I'm just using about 3 tablespoons. Now, the only reason I'm only using 3 tablespoons of honey is that as this peanut butter sits, like it's not going to taste sweet instantly, but as it sits, that's when it's going to develop its sweetness. You just got to let that honey take time to disperse throughout the whole peanut butter. And then it's going to taste really sweet as it sits later on. So just be patient. Don't add too much at the beginning too. And of course, I'm going to add a little bit of my fine sea salt right here too. You don't have to use this salt again. I'm just using it because I had it on board and I felt like using it up. Plus, I like it when it gets kind of nice and crunchy inside the peanut butter too. So we're just letting that go. And now another reason we were only using just a little bit of honey, you can already start to see it's starting to get clumped up again. That's because the honey has been attached to the natural oils inside of the peanut butter, so it's kind of taken out its smooth creaminess, but that's when we go in with that little bit of peanut oil. And you want to start this in a slow, steady stream because you're kind of forming an emulsion when you do this. Now, what this peanut oil is going to do is just going to add more of those natural oils that is just going to help it smooth out again, get it nice and creamy again. You're only using about 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of oil, too. You don't need a boatload of oil to do this, so. Because that way, too, again, if you add too much oil, it's just going to be too oily. So you only want to add just a little bit or just enough to make sure that it's a smooth, creamy peanut butter. You still want that nice creamy texture to it, too. You don't want it to get too oily. Otherwise, your emulsion is going to break and you're going to be left with broken peanut butter, and broken peanut butter tastes like nothing but sadness, as we've explained in videos before. So just be patient, nice and slowly. Slow and steady sometimes wins the race. Not all of them, but some of them. And this one's going to help win you. So again, just nice and slow. Nice and slow. And the other reason I like to use peanut oil too is because again, peanut oil is a neutral tasting oil, so you don't want to use again. You don't want to use something like olive oil or extra virgin olive oil when making peanut butter like this too. Otherwise, extra virgin olive oil, it just tastes really bitter when it's blended up like that too. So again, you want to use something that's neutral tasting. You don't just have to use peanut oil. You could use grapeseed oil. You could use canola oil. You could use vegetable oil, safflower oil, whatever neutral tasting oil you got. But yeah, avoid using olive oil or extra virgin olive oil. I mean, again, so now it looks like it's not getting quite smooth just yet, so I'm just going to add just a little bit more. Not too much, just a little bit more, maybe about another tablespoon or so. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to check the consistency here. It's almost there. I just want to make sure everything's going to get evenly distributed. So just move it around just a little bit. It's starting to get creamy again, but not too much, so we're just going to let this go just a little bit longer. And we're going to add just a little bit more oil to this as well. Yes, I just drank my coffee. So just let it go. It's getting there. It's almost there. We're almost at that point where we want a nice, smooth, creamy peanut butter. But again, the name of the game right now is patience. Just let it do its thing. Let it process a little bit. Just let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Okay, I'm done singing now. So just a little bit more oil. Just a little bit. And there we go. There we go. Now it's starting to get nice and creamy. By the way, when you're doing this, the smell in your room is going to smell amazing. It's going to smell like a nice, nutty, warm hug, so to speak. Because the aroma after you roast the nuts and then you puree them up, it smells incredible. Just to get that out there. So now we're getting it nice and smooth again. This is exactly the consistency I was hoping for. So there we go. Now it's getting nice and creamy. Now it's getting nice and smooth. And at this point too, I'm just going to add just a little bit more salt to it too, just to make sure that my salt is evenly distributed out. And plus, I like salt in this. I like a nice salt-sweet combination. But again, the whole salt level thing is up to you, which is another benefit too. This is why, again, you want to use unsalted nuts because you are in total control of how much salt you are putting in this, and that is always a good thing when it comes to seasoning things. Always go for stuff that's a little unsalted too, because that way, again, you're just in total control. You know what it's going to taste like now. It's not going to be oversalted. It's not going to be undersalted. That is the benefit of doing things like that. All right, so now we're just going to take a look here and just look at that. Oh, look at that. Just nice and smooth and creamy and ready to get into my belly. Except we're not going to do that just yet because now I'm going to show you guys how to store this properly too. Now when I store it, I like to use a nice airtight container too to make sure that no air is going to go there because we did add oil to this and that oil is an unsaturated fat. So if you leave this out at room temperature too long, that oil is going to get really rancid and you're not going to have much long to enjoy that peanut butter. So you want to put on a nice airtight lid and then you want to refrigerate this. I like to refrigerate this again for maybe like 1 to 2 hours and that way too, it allows it to cool down and it allows the flavors to develop too. Again, that's why I only started with 3 tablespoons of honey. But you can see, like, after an hour or so, I'm starting to check it again. It's still nice and creamy. It's still nice and smooth. And you can see that consistency, too. That's exactly how I like it. You can make this crunchy if you want to. I'm a smooth peanut butter guy myself. And again, that is how simple it is to make your own peanut butter at home. One that you are in total control of. One that you know doesn't have a lot of preservatives or things you don't even know how to pronounce to. And, it's just a lot of fun. And me, when I like to eat, I like to add just a little bit extra salt in there. Because, again, I'm a salt-sweet guy myself, too. So I'm just going to add a little bit more on there. And I'm going to take my first bite. And again, when you roast it too, you're just amplifying the nuttiness of it. You get that nice roasted flavor. It's so tasty. It's so delicious. I hope you all enjoyed learning how to make this peanut butter. I hope you all are doing very well. So please, watch this video. Let me know what you all think of it. And again, this is Dude with the Food saying, I love you all. I can't talk right now. Let's start bringing some peace on earth. Enjoy and happy cooking all. Goodbye. I love peanut butter. I love it so much.